Yes, welcome everyone, or welcome, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may have joined us from, and where you'll be joining us from when we upload our YouTube, when we upload the recording to our YouTube channel. We are very delighted to have you all here, and those of us who will join us online. What I mean by that is on our YouTube. Yeah, we're delighted to have you. What you are doing every week is of immense value, is putting on record the philosophy and ideology of decolonization with particular reference to the African Revolution. Some say it's hard, some say it's a difficult book to read and understand, but you have shown consistently that however challenging it is, you are prepared to sink your teeth into it and make it understandable. So thank you very much. The ancestors, thank you. The living, thank you. And the unborn will also thank you. So I'm going to welcome you all because we appreciate you. Sister Ida, welcome. Welcome, Sister Tapua. Welcome, Brother Windhoek, Sir WHK. Welcome, Sister Portia. Welcome, Brother Pigeon. And then welcome to myself. I'm going to change my name so that it's not reading as Consciencism Study Group. It's reading as Kwame. Right. So thank you all. Brother, welcome. That's WHK is going to read for us. And as usual, we all listen attentively and carefully while he reads, or while he or she reads. Today is a he reading for us. And then we shall listen attentively. And as he reads slowly, we shall take in what he's reading, after which we shall share our thinking on the matter. So, brother, welcome. Please, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Kwame.
You're welcome, sir.
Greetings to everybody taking part today. I will try my utmost best to sink my teeth into this thing, but they are kind of prosthetic, so I won't sink them so deep. Thank you. There we go with a paragraph. Now, if one wishes to maintain the philosophical inertness of matter, one must ascribe the phenomenal self-motion of bodies to some non-material principle, usually a soul or a spirit. This soul or spirit may of course be said to inhere in matter or to be external to it. But even when it is said that there is a spirit or a soul in matter which is responsible for its spontaneous motion, it will not have been said that in every case of phenomenal spontaneous motion of a body, there must be presumed a spirit concealed in the body, a ghost lurking in the machine. Hence, the philosophical inertness of matter is not achieved by the mere postulate of spirit or soul. It is in fact made a defining characteristic of matter that it is philosophically inert. Thank you.
Yeah, brother, welcome. I hope you don't mind me asking. Can you read it again for us? I really enjoyed your reading. I hope you don't mind. Thank you.
I wouldn't mind. Thank you. Now, if one wishes to maintain the philosophical inertness of matter, one must ascribe the phenomenal self-motion of bodies to some non-material principle, usually a soul or a spirit. This soul or spirit may of course be said to inhere in matter or to be external to it. But even when it is said that there is a spirit or a soul in matter, which is responsible for, let me start there again. I lost the screen momentarily. Where do I start? But even when it is said that there is a spirit or a soul in matter which is responsible for its spontaneous motion, it will not have been said that in every case of my screen again. Let me start there again. But even when it is said that there is a spirit or a soul in matter which is responsible for its spontaneous motion, it will not have been said that in every case of phenomenal spontaneous motion of a body, there must be presumed a spirit concealed in the body, be that a ghost lurking in the machine. Hence, the philosophical inertness of matter is not achieved by the mere postulate of spirit or soul. There must be something else besides a spirit or a soul. It is in fact made a defining characteristic of matter that it is philosophically inert.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Sorry about the the breaking in your seeing the screen. Yeah.
It was network troubling a little bit.
Yes. There's something that is beyond our control, basically. But thank you so much for reading for us. Now, keywords. Keywords. What are the keywords that we would like to discuss?
In air, in air, in matter, in here in matter, said to be in here in matter.
In here, okay. In here, okay. Okay. In here was as another word. We'll take them in turn. Any other word? Apart from in here, any other word? Is that the only word? Okay. Okay, so in here, I think we've looked at other words before. Inert, we've looked at earlier. Spontaneous, we have. What about phenomenon? Are we all clear what a phenomenon is? And then what about to postulate and postulate? What is to postulate? Let's look at those words. Feel free to share your thinking on them. Feel free also to use your dictionary or to Google an online dictionary if that helps. Yeah. All right, so let's start with the first word Sister Ida mentioned. In here, what is in here? My understanding is that in here means it's there, inside it. It's the reverse of herein. Here, if you say herein lies or herein says, so herein, if you bring the in to the front, it becomes in here, which basically means the same thing. It's there, herein. That's my understanding. Any other understanding? Please share. You don't need to raise your hand. Just share it for us. Thank you.
Yeah, something that is an integral or an inseparable part of a specific or a certain unit.
Yep. So integral is inside it, it's part of it. Yeah. So we are all born with brains. So our brains are in here in our physical body. Yeah. So it's integral, it's part of it. Thank you.
So it is inherent within human genes.
That's it. Yeah. It has a genetic basis. Thank you so much. You brought in genetics to even make it better understandable. Right. Let's go to the other word, inert. Are we all happy with what the word inert is?
Yes.
Do you all recall? Yep.
We have done it already. Inertia, lack of motion,
Lack of motion.
state of passiveness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That which can interact with other things. Thank you. What about spontaneous? Spontaneous. Sister Poa, what is spontaneous? Do you remember? Spontaneous? Or is it something spontaneous? What are we saying?
By its own volition.
Of its own volition. Okay. Sister Ida, remember what spontaneous is? Do you remember?
I would have thought that it reacts instantly.
Instantly. Yeah, spontaneous. Yeah, of its own volition. Yeah. Sister Tapua, you're going to add?
Not at the moment, thank you.
Yeah, okay. What about postulate? What does it mean to postulate? Sister Portia, what does it mean to postulate? To postulate.
Pardon me, I didn't know that we were having an exam.
No, it's not an exam. It's not an exam.
Let
It's a
me-
sharing. Hold on. Let me clarify. It's not an exam.
Professor Kwame, I'm joking.
I know
Let me joke with you.
I am also joking. I am also joking. It's not an exam. It is basically going through keywords like we always do. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, it's
Postulate.
basically it's like pontificate, or let me not even say pontificate. It's more like a purport. So it's not really true, but when I'm saying it, I'm assuming it's to be true.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I don't know that word.
Thank you for passing the exam. Right. Okay. I think we've covered all the words. Any other word? If not, we can move to sharing our thinking. Everyone, are we happy? Yeah. Isaida, you were saying?
Sorry. I say I don't know the word purport. That sounds a bit above me. What's
Which
purport?
one?
Purport.
No, purport.
Oh,
Purport.
Oh, purport. Right.
Yeah. I purport, that it's a way of thinking. I know something that I really don't. I'm so passionate about saying something is correct, and I don't even have evidence really to say so. That's another way of saying it, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. So purport is purport is to say something. I mean, it's like I was going to say Portia, but it's to move. It's to move. Yeah, port. It's from the word port, portere, which is to move. So purport is basically to move alongside, to say something, to mean something, to say I purport to mean. So it's a way of saying I meant to say this or I meant to say that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Unless there's another scientific meaning to it. Where is it in the reading?
No.
Which line?
No, that is the pontificate. That is to pontificate. That's another way of to use the word that you're regionally. Excuse me, not pontificate. I used pontificate earlier, but it's to postulate means ultimately I'm assuming something is true without having a basis in reality or evidence. If I can say it plainly, is that what you think, sir? Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm trying to work out where the word purport is in the reading.
It was just a portrait vocabulary, which I didn't know the word. Sorry. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See,
okay.
purported. I'm doing a Google search just to check me.
Yeah, that's
something
fine.
that is stated, claimed, or rumored to be true, genuine, or planned, even though its actual validity has not been fully proven or may be questionable. This is why I use the word purport. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's similar to a postulate. A postulate is to state something.
Yes.
To state something which it's assumed to be true. Without immediate proof. For example, the one speaking now is Brother Kwame. It may not be
no evidence.
Precisely, it's not evidence. Yes, there's no proof that it's me speaking, but you can assume it's me. Therefore, it's a postulate. So it's a postulate that Brother Kwame. Sorry, it could be AI. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So we've looked at the words. Let's now go on to sharing our thinking. If it's okay, I will ask a sister to share first. If that's okay with all of us. So any of the sisters can share. There are 3 of you here. Please feel free to share. Today our numbers have reduced. I'm not sure why. I don't know, maybe something I did or said last week. I'm not sure. But anyway.
I did turn up without having read the passage. One of those, so I'm quiet today. I won't say a word. I won't breathe.
Students. Yes, represent. It's a free world, please.
Queen sister, thank you. Okay, let me try to begin with this because I did do the reading. Okay. Sorry, I had to get that one in. I apologize. I had to be cheeky there. Okay, hold on. All right. Okay, so the first sentence, this is my initial thinking. In this paragraph, the first one is saying that matter connects with self-motion. That connects with a soul or spirit. And then the second sentence is saying that soul or spirit is tied to matter, or can be tied to matter, or it cannot be tied with matter. And there's a question there that I give myself. And then the third sentence says, even if there is a soul or a spirit which is connected with matter, which is responsible for its movements, then it's not always the case that soul or spirit is with a spontaneous motion. And then I give it myself a question mark again. So that fourth sentence, matter is not achieved by spirit or by soul. The fifth one, spirit or soul is a distinct characteristic of matter that is philosophically, I guess, sluggish, not dormant. And when I was thinking of all of this, I was thinking, oh, hey, my goodness, just as I'm talking, a tortoise is walking behind me. There is a
Run.
tortoise. I haven't seen this tortoise in a long time, and I was telling my aunt that I missed the tortoise. And as I was talking, the tortoise walked behind me. I'm going to try to let you see it because I'm not making this up. Can you see the tortoise, everybody? Do you see the
No.
tortoise moving? No? What about now? No?
No.
You haven't
You,
got your camera.
oh, dang. The tortoise is gone. Okay, hold on, hold on. Can you see the tortoise now?
No.
We
See
see
it there?
grass.
Yeah, but look at the grass moving.
Okay.
No? You
No.
see it? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, I
Yeah.
tried. I tried.
The end
So
of it.
just as I was talking, the tortoise was behind me, and I was telling my aunt I missed this tortoise. I hadn't seen this tortoise in a long time, and now I'm speaking about this topic. So why am I saying this? I'm trying to say that does that tortoise, because I've been thinking of this a lot, does that tortoise or does other beings have a soul or a spirit? Because one of the things I wrestle with is this focus that only Homo sapiens or us in these bodies, someone would say we are spirits in these bodies, that we are the only ones who have such a consciousness. So that was my additional thinking, is how does this apply to other beings, additional beings that are not in a human form? And then this tortoise comes behind me. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Interesting. According to our traditional African way of seeing things, there's a message there. There's a message there. It wasn't for nothing. There has to be a reason why that animal showed up when it did. But anyway, can I ask a follow-up question then, Sister Portia? Sorry.
Yes.
So, what makes us sure that we have souls or spirits?
Yeah, that's the point. That I as a budding, and hopefully I will be remembered as a philosopher. I hope. I think we've missed this part, but I have to first prove it. And how do you prove it? Because what is a soul or a spirit? It has different connotations. And as I said, is that only applied in these bodies that we're in? I these vastness, as I was saying another time ago, that all this focus on trying to quantify and say this is how it is, and then they find this. They didn't find it. The octopus was there, but now that blue octopus, and they're saying they discovered. You people who said you discovered didn't discover crap. The octopus was already there. The octopus discovered you. So I just think with this soul and spirit and what we think, how it is, and this is why I love that part of death, because it is a mystery. I know there are people who say they died and they come back and then they have their, arguably Europeanized ways of what they think, like, it is because of how they've been indoctrinated, allegedly. I just think, isn't that beautiful? None of us really know that portal until we get there. So I think there's a lot we are missing when we talk about souls and spirits. Thank you.
Okay, right. Okay, you've said a lot of things. So my question was, how sure are we as humans that we have souls or spirits? So then the question then is, what is a soul or a spirit, which you've raised? So then the question is, which is the question you raised earlier, is it only humans that have these qualities called, these characteristics called soul and spirit? Or do other animals, if you take the position that we are not animals and that humans are not animals, then you can't say do other animals. But if you take the position that human beings are a type of animals, then the question then is acceptable. But if we take the view that humans are not animals in a certain sense, then the question then becomes, do you think humans have, do you think there is such a thing as a human soul and a human spirit? And if there are they different? Or no, are there a variety of these characteristics? So if someone acts in a particular way, does that mean they don't have a human soul or a human spirit, etc., etc., etc.? Then, in terms of discovering something, if you stand in front of a house and you can only see the front of the house, does that mean that back of the house does not exist because you can't see it? Or does it exist, just that you can't see it? Yeah, but it exists. Maybe if you go around the house, you can see the back of the house. But until you see the back of the house, that house may not exist. The back of the house may not exist for you. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist at all, which I think is some of the questions we are raising. Now, these are all linked up with a word called phenomenon and a study called phenomenology, one of the words we came across in the paragraph. So we'll look more at that later. But thank you, Sister Portia, for sharing your thinking. We're now going to go to a brother. Brother Pigeon, can you try again? So Brother Pigeon has challenges with his technology. But hopefully we shall sort Brother Pigeon out with a new laptop, so that he will be himself again. But Brother Pigeon, try again. See if we can hear you okay. What are your thoughts? What is your thinking on the paragraphs? Thank you. Right, Brother Pigeon is not responding. Could be the same technology problem. So we'll go to Brother Welcome, who read for us. Normally we go to the reader much later, so they can also go through what they've read themselves. So, Brother Welcome, I'm happy to come back to you if you want me to come back later. Otherwise, you are free to share your thinking, please. Thank you.
Please pass.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll come back to Brother Welcome later. Let's hear from Sister Tapua, please. Thank you. So Tapua, I know you said you haven't read, but I know you've listened to the reading now, so you are
Right.
you are now armed with a necessary reading.
Yes.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll start with responding to how we know whether we have a soul or a spirit. I'm looking at, as human beings, we learn from experience. And our experience has told us that when someone, using the word, passes on, it means they've lost the ability for self-motion in the bodies they inhabit. So even me using the word bodies they inhabit is assuming that we presume that something leaves this body, something that gave the body the ability to move has left. And therefore, we can assume that whether we call it soul or spirit or whatever else we want to call it, but something that which happens tells us that there is something there. Whether we'll call it a soul or a spirit is something else. Some people think, well, just that the body losing its ability to move, and therefore there's nothing after that. But like we've said, we cannot tell. We cannot say the front of the house has no back. because from experience, we have known that there is. And there's been some evidence which scientists argue with, and which, because they need to to have scientific proof, repeatable scientific proof that someone has come from the dead, and there's evidence. But we've had these reports, and particularly in an African context, we believe that our ancestors leave their bodies, but they still commune with us. That's what religion is about. That's why we talk of Christ and God existing at a different level altogether and are able to communicate with those on earth. So humanity seems to have come up with this idea. It doesn't matter which religion it is, but everybody seems to think that, well, everybody, most people seem to think that there's this connection with the past, with the departed, and with the future, and not necessarily within the current bodies that we inhabit. I'll stop there for now. Thank you.
Mr. Apekua, I thought you were onto something really. I thought you were taking us far. Why did you stop so quickly? Anyway, yeah, it's okay. Feel free to stop where you feel comfortable, and then you can come back later.
Thank you.
But I thought you made some really interesting points. So we know houses have a back. So if you are in front of a house, you can't deny that it has a back. So is that always true though? I'm not asking us to answer it. I'm just raising it as a rhetorical question. Right. So thank you for sharing your thinking. Let's now let me go back to this brother. Welcome again. It's just only fair. And then if he says to pass again, then I pass to Sister Ida. Brother Coco, welcome. I should spend the time to look at the texts, and then I'll come back to you. I'll come to you later. Thank you. Brother, welcome. Should I continue to pass, or are you happy to share some thinking at this point? Thank you.
Please continue to pass.
Thank you. Sister Ida.
Oh, dear.
Please share your thinking. It's not that bad, Sister Ida.
It's not that bad. Sister Paul, you ended too early. Brother, welcome. Why? Anyway,
well, I thought the same. I thought Sister Tapo ended too early, but anyway.
I'm not quite sure where to start, because I
start wherever you want.
I'm fine. I liked what Sister Portia said about the tortoise, because quite often you think of somebody and the next thing you know, they're there or ringing or, at your door or whatever. I liked what Sister Tapua said about, that part of the belief in spiritual matters is that you believe people are there or bodies are there, even if they can't be seen. And so then I went back to the beginning of it all, which says, now, if one wishes to maintain the philosophical inertness of matter, one must ascribe to the phenomenon of self-motion of bodies to some non-material principle, usually a soul or spirit. And I think to myself, I don't know that I've ever thought of it as a soul or spirit when you see unusual things happen, or when you think of a person and then the next thing you hear from them. I've never really thought, I think that maybe there is some sort of, I'm moving my hands diagonally. I think there's some sort of wave motion that maybe carries to whoever you're thinking about, but I don't necessarily know it's about a soul or spirit. And to me, when Sister Portia was telling us about the tortoise and that she misses it, I thought to myself, well, maybe the tortoise has heard your voice and recognizes it from somewhere in the past and is coming to greet you. So, I think that there's something about waves. I know that in science they talk about wave motion or particle motions or whatever, and I do think that there's something in that also to do with um, beings, whether they're animals or human, in that things remember somehow, or that there's some sort of wave that passes on um, thoughts on the same line that makes people remember other people or whatever. I'm not sure about that, but uh, it will not have been said that in every case of phenomenal spontaneous motion of a body, there must be presumed a spirit concealed in the body. So I'm not too sure what it is that is spontaneous that is passed on. But but just because you think of people and then the next thing you hear from them, I think there's something in that. Um, Hence, the philosophical inertness of matter is not achieved by the mere postulate of spirit or soul. So I don't necessarily think it's just spirit or soul. I think there's something more that moves thoughts through airwaves, and it's not necessary that those thoughts are just about those but that thoughts or ideas can be spread at a certain time if they're going to spread. Does that make sense? Thank you.
It does. Can I ask you a follow-up question? Is that okay?
Oh, by all means. Do I know what I'm talking about? No, come on.
Why do you think this discussion is important in terms of what we've been reading, in terms of Consciencism and in terms of the philosophy and ideology for decolonization, with particular reference to the African Revolution? Why do you think these discussions are important? In other words, why do you think Nkrumah is discussing spirit, soul, the way we are discussing? Why do you think so?
Because I think that ideas don't stop at a certain time; they travel, and you never know why you're at a particular. I mean, like for instance, today I saw a video about someone who was almost in tears because he met up with somebody who was about to jump off a bridge because he was so traumatized about what was going on in his life. And he said at the end of it, he was saying he doesn't know how or why he was there, but he was there at the time that he was needed by this other person who maybe, he just knows maybe from the area. I don't know how he knows him. But what I'm saying is that I think that when things are needed, when ideas are needed, they spring up, people investigate them, and change comes. So not necessarily to do with the video I've watched, but I think that ideas don't necessarily. It's a bit like things are hidden for hundreds of years underneath the ground, and suddenly they're found, or suddenly they're people find out that other people knew about it hundreds or thousands of years ago. But when things are needed, they almost appear. Does that make sense? When things are needed, people find out. So I think that nothing gets hidden forever in a way. But at the same time, there are lots of other things that are going on, whether it's people turning up just by people thinking about them or whatever. So I think because we don't know enough about how things happen, we take it as, oh, look at that. But all along, it's needed.
Yes.
It happened.
So why do you think Nkrumah is discussing this again? Just so I'm clear.
Because I think unification of Africa is a must. Like, for instance, okay, let me put it a different way. Like, at the moment, what is going on in South Africa? I think recently, I don't know whether it was Belfast, or even in different countries, you suddenly find that sort of tension and stuff springing up because they might think that there's nobody to stop that sort of bad behavior, but it might spread around the place. But eventually, I think there will be things that will stop it happening because, um, especially in Africa, because unification of Africa is a must.
Okay, so you think Nkrumah is discussing this because of unification of Africa?
No, I think he's discussing it because, things get hidden, but eventually other things will arise to turn things round.
So okay. All right, I'll come back to you later, but it raises questions about Plato's belief that there is a world out there that is accessible to God. He didn't mention God, but accessible to us, and that is where real things exists, etc., etc. But in terms of, so somebody has their hand up. Let me check. Who had the hand up? It's Brother Welcome. Let me pause. Brother Welcome, I think you want to come in, which is a good time for you to come in. Yeah, please come in.
And Sister Portia's also got her hand up. Thank you.
Yes, somebody also has. Whose hand is going up again also?
The Portia.
Sister Portia, yeah. Okay. Yeah, Brother Welcome, come in.
Yes, I don't have an idea to share, but I'm only impressed by Sister Ida's statement that ideas do not die at a specific point, they live on. Now, us who believe in our ancestors, now I wanted to, somehow she has linked it to what I would call, as I understood it, to natural resources. For instance, as a classical example, it remains hidden for so many years, but it gets discovered. But what I wanted to hear is in relation to spirits and souls. So some people say he is the incarnation of so and so. And some of us who believes in our ancestors, that our ancestors are watching over us. Is this what Sister Ida wanted to say, that even if our ancestors have passed on, somewhere, somehow, we still have got a connection to their spirits, to what they have aspired for, to what they have wanted to be achieved, like Kwame Nkrumah. And these spirits maybe come back to us in one or another inexplicable way, something like that. I don't know how to put it, but maybe somebody understood
Yeah,
me
I think you
and
put it very well, Brother Welcome.
can put it
Yeah.
back better. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you put it very well. In terms of physical science, in terms of what Sister Ida said, there is Brother CK is not here. He would have explained this better to us. But there's something called non-locality in physics, and non-locality simply means that just exactly how it was explained. So this man was on the bridge, I think, about to kill himself. Somebody else comes to save him or her, and the person who comes to save him or her just happens to be there at the right time. So in other words, that person is a response. So it's as if the one who was going to kill himself, has sent a message, maybe a cry for help, inaudibly to the universe, and then someone has heard. And the person who is there to help, it's as if they have instantly heard and have come to help. So it's called in physics, I'm not saying physics explains it the same way, but in physics, it's called non-locality. Non-locality is instantly affecting something somewhere else without anything traveling between them. So you can't see the message from the one who wants to throw it themselves or from the bridge. There is no message being sent from him or her to the person who is there to save them, but then somehow the person who is there to save is there. So that is in physics called non-locality. And I think the same idea is in the African tradition, the way the Welcome has said, which is that you call on the ancestors and then they are there instantly listening to you, etc., etc. So that principle of non-locality is there, etc., etc. So the question that I asked then remains, which is, why do we think Nkrumah is bringing these things to our attention? So let's hear from Sister Portia and then Sister Tapu after that. And I think Brother Koko will then share his thinking after that. Yes. And then General has also joined us. General, sorry, Sister Tapu, hold on. General, please read the text. I'll come to you in a while. Yeah, Sister Portia, please proceed. Thanks.
I'm very happy we are having this conversation, and perhaps in some way, all of us on this call were wanting this conversation at this very moment, and we are now having it with the guidance of the ancestors, the healthy, loving, and wise and knowledgeable ancestors, perhaps. When the sisters were talking, when Elder was talking, something moved in me, which is, I think, a lot of our ways of returning to our indigenous Akibulan principles is with the ancestors, that connection. And I want to be mindful that I've always talked about the ancestors. Of recent, when I went through this very difficult period, I really was reaching out to the ancestors every 24 hours now. I am attempting to connect with that realm in a healthy way, in a revolutionary way. And I say that because when y'all were talking, I was looking at a map, and this map, I put it in a group. The map is saying the areas of Africa that's heavily indebted, somewhat indebted, and more able to get out of debt. And I'm paraphrasing. If I look at that image, I will think Africa will never get out of its debt, because the racial capitalist systems that I keep talking about, they will not allow with those agreements. There'll be some trickery, some deception, some moving the goalpost, the football line. Somehow they will try to give us Africanist diaspora a perceived good thing, and when we open it, it'll be rotten inside. So no trust at all for racial capitalist systems. Now, I have said it before, and I'll say it again with this call. I think a way, not the only way, is the reconnection with the ancestors, with that realm. And I perhaps say that maybe Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, former president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, was saying that to achieve this unification and liberation, it is ancestral, it is spiritual, it is cultural, it is natural world. Thank you.
Yes, Sister Portia, you've raised a point. I want to add something to it. not necessarily for you to respond now, but it's just a thought for all of us. When you go back to the struggle for the liberation of Africa from 1947, when Nkrumah arrived on the continent from Manchester or from the UK. And remember, he fought for 10 years and then led the independence of Ghana in 57, and then led the decolonization of the African continent, etc., 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 including all the armed struggles, the liberation struggles in Namibia, in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, in Algeria, in Mozambique, etc., etc., etc. Now, when you compare our struggle, our fight for liberation with the Haiti struggle for liberation, when you hear the story, when you are told the story of Haiti, what comes to mind is the leadership of the African priests or priestesses, and the fact that they use voodoo or voodooism, if you like, in order to fight for the liberation of Haiti. In other words, in Haiti, the spiritual dimension, when the story is told, is very, very audible. But when you come to the continent, the struggle for the liberation of Africa, you don't hear a lot about the spiritual dimension. And so the question then is, why is that the case? Why is it that I'm not saying that you don't hear things about Ethiopia have stretched forth its hands to the Lord, and Ethiopia in the Bible? Yes, you hear of that. I accept that. And the Father Haile Selassie was central also in the struggle, etc., etc. But the point I'm making is that when you look at listen to the liberation struggle, the spiritual dimension on the whole doesn't come across. Yes, maybe I'm overstating it, because the Mau Mau rebellion was led by them taking an oath. So there is that. But I suppose I'm saying that the spiritual dimension doesn't come to the fore in terms of the liberation struggle of Africa. And the question is why. So thank you for raising the question you raised, Sister Portia. Could that therefore mean that if we are going to if we are going to complete the liberation of Africa in terms of its economics dimension, that we ought now to invoke the spiritual dimension? And if that is the case, could that be why Nkrumah may have been drawing our attention? I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying, could that be that that's why we may have been drawing our attention to the three strands of the African heritage: the Euro-Christian, the traditional African, the Islamic, that these traditions have spiritual dimensions in their cultural, the way they look at the world culturally. Islam has a spiritual dimension. So has traditional Africa. So has Euro-Christian Africa. So has Judaism, called the Kabbalah. The question is, why are these spiritual dimensions not at the forefront? That's the question I'm raising. I'm saying that what Sister Portia has raised this question, and maybe it's something we ought to look at. So thank you for my digression. Let's now hear from Sister Tapua, and then we'll go to Brother Coco.
Please, could you remind us what Sister Portia raised that you say
The
is
spiritual dimension.
okay?
The spiritual dimension, yes. So she was doing against the spiritual dimension. Yeah, very important. Yeah. Thank you. So, Sister Tapua. I hope what I have said hasn't affected what you wanted to say. Sister Tapua, are you there? Yeah, go on. Your hand is up, but you are not speaking. Okay. Sister Tapua's hand is down. That's why I don't like to talk too much, because anytime I talk, Sister Tapua doesn't want to talk. All right, let's go to Brother Coco then.
Oh, no, please. Sorry. Can I was struggling to unmute myself.
Oh, you are still struggling, my sister. I thought you sorted out
I know.
the new phone and now you are now an expert.
Well, it takes time.
No
Right.
worries. All right, please proceed.
Okay. I'm looking at the sentence which starts, this soul or spirit may, of course, be said to be inherent in matter or to be external to it. What I'm getting from this is a very central belief in African traditional religion, where we believe that everything has a soul. The fact that it might not have self-motion does not mean it does not have a soul. It's just that it, at that particular moment, does not have self-motion. So we believe that water is alive. And we believe that mountains and trees are alive. We believe that we are a continuous connection between our ancestors who've gone before us and ourselves. There is no separation. So we are also connected as human beings who are inhabiting Earth today. So we've got dimensional connections with the past, where the past comes into the living, and the current inhabitants on Earth, and then between ourselves, which is why we say munu munu ne wamwe wanu. This is why we say a person is a person because of other people or other beings. So we want to bear in mind the fact that this statement says that the soul could be inside matter or it could be external to it. This also means that as the greatest conservatives on earth, we look after the animal kingdom as part of Ntu. I'm taking the word Ubuntu to include Ntu as the giver of life. So all the animals that live on earth have a being. They have an existence. They've got a soul. And it is not our part to assess whether we are more soulful than anything else, because the failure of those other things that live on earth to exist will lead to our extinction, which is what the white man has taken a long time to get to. Which is why, for example, they think it's justified to pollute rivers and dig up the earth to get gold, to go and store it and mark it as a sign of wealth, whereas it's leading to self-destruction. So all things have a soul, whether they're self-motion or not. And we cannot separate ourselves from the valleys and the mountains and the rivers and the waters and the minerals. I think, I'm not sure who amongst us was saying that during our liberation struggle, there was very little connection with the spiritual dimensions. I will refer to the Zimbabwean struggle. The Zimbabwean struggle referenced our ancestors and our national spirit a lot. And even today, you cannot get into a mine to engage in mining, to extract minerals without the blessings of the ancestors. One must visit the chief, one must have permission and talk to the spirit. I was actually laughing at myself today. Oh, yeah, because I'm rearing layers chickens. And each time I go to pick eggs, I find myself behaving like a proper African, speaking to the chickens to say, guys, I've got to take your eggs. At least I'm giving you some food. So my conscience does not allow me to just get in there and pick the eggs. I must speak with them to let them know that there is a symbiotic relationship between us as living things. And because of the way Christianity, bastardized Christianity was introduced to us, we were forced to alienate ourselves from our connection with nature and our connection with other living things, because it was not camp. It was not camp for you to say, I'm not going to cut this tree because it's not worth me making benches out of it to sell and deforest everything so that I have a lot of money, paper money in my pocket. Then they saw us as people who are backward, when in actual fact, we are the people with the conscience. That voice inside us that tells us that this is the way to be at peace with everything. Not we the white man and the West and the way they bring religion across is because they don't want to lose control. If we put everything into religion, it means that I see my brother as my brother, whether they be black or white. I see the animals that we have not as a source of making me rich, but as a source that gives me life. So, if they did not establish their churches amongst us, like what happened in Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, at the beginning of the missionary establishment of their institutions, they came in and they said, we've got the Holy Spirit that will lead us. And people said, oh, we have that here also. And it tells us what to do. So because their strategy was to establish their churches where the holy places of the indigenous people, people came to those churches, and that's how conversion was easily attained. But when it came to spirituality, where the spirit was speaking within the church, the English churches had to ban and stop people from having that connection because they could be caught out. So today, what we're being told that we need to be environmentally conscious. We need to make sure we preserve the earth. It's all because they're coming round to it, but this is where we've been at. This is why this sentence for me makes every sense. This soul or spirit may, of course, be said to be inherent in matter or to be external to it. We respect everything that we come into contact with as Africans, and we're conscientious in how we behave, which is why we've got consciencism. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sister Tapo. I wanted you to complete your thinking. I didn't want to interrupt your thinking, but I would like to draw your attention to something you said, not as a criticism, but just as something to be mindful of, which is that the African view of the universe, in the sense in which, like you said, the white man woke up to it much later than us. They just be mindful that the African view of the universe was also shared by other non-Black people. It's just that certain voices were vociferous in the white community, And that voice was mainly the capitalist voice. And the capitalists, if you like, are those who were most vociferous in terms of how they approached the exploitation of the world. So it is their voices that we heard a lot. But behind their voices, there were other voices. So, for example, if you take nuclear weapons, for instance, there were physicists who were saying this is not right. Yeah. So I'm referring to physicists like Bertrand Russell and Albert Einstein, who in fact signed a manifesto in 1955. They issued a manifesto, which in fact, it was issued by Bertrand Russell and signed by Albert Einstein and other leading scientists shortly before Einstein's death. And you see, and if we are interested, we can go into this another time, but it led to what was called the Pugwash Conferences on Science and World Affairs. When you look at other aspects of life, you will find that there were other scientists, like, for example, a scientist called Rachel Carson, some marine biologist, in 1962, far back in 1962. She's a woman. She was alerting the world to the dangers of the pesticide DDT, etc., etc., etc. So I'm just saying that it's not just that, I'm not saying you are wrong. I'm just saying that let's just be mindful that it's not that the understanding that the universe is alive is shared by other groups as well, not just Africans. And that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's now hear from Brother Coco, and then we'll go to General, who haven't spoken yet. Brother Coco. Oh, Sister Tafua, there is something else
Yes.
that I'd like to draw to your attention. You know the words you use, mutu, and munu. Those words, I know are they Zimbabwean words? Munu, munu, and mutu. Those words. Just so you know, in my language, they also have similar meaning. Have similar meaning. So when I'm listening to you, sometimes it rings a bell. It's just so. Yeah, Thank you. Brother Coco. Yes, let's hear from you.
Thank you. My sister has gone to town this paragraph and has drawn a lot from our mutual understanding of Ubuntu. So I have to recognize that at the start. Munu is Shona and Motu is Sutu. We are the same people. So,
and Brother Coco,
yes,
the word munu and mutu in my language has such deep meaning as well. So it's very interesting. Munu.
Okay. Absolutely.
Very interesting. Anyway, go on. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, brother. I think we are still continuing with Dr. Nkrumah's assertion that or argument against those who believe that matter was naturally inactive or incapable of moving itself. And in this case, he is bringing in the soul or the spirit. But in one of the sentences, he actually says, this soul or spirit may be thought to exist within matter or outside it. However, even if we say that a spirit inside matter causes its movement, this does not mean that every object that appears to move or on its own contains a hidden spirit. And in his book there, he mentions a ghost in the machine. So what we are seeing here, he actually says, yeah, for those that actually say matter is influenced by the spirit or the soul, they cannot generalize. They cannot generalize because they are machines at times, and those machines can move on their own. Are we going to say that machine is moving because it has a spirit or has a soul? So he's challenging the African to say, think beyond what you have been told to think. Don't be boxed into one thing. Open your mind and realize that machines are there. They are moving even though they don't have a soul or they don't have a spirit. So here again, he's challenging the Eurocentric view that spirits are primary and matter is secondary. He's challenging the Eurocentric view that they are the only ones who have a monopoly over knowledge, over philosophy, over religion, over spirits. He's saying you had all of this all along, which is what my sister has said. Capitalism does that, and in a fun way, because right now there is something which is going around social media where they are talking about our herbs and plants, because some of our brothers and sisters are asking for our traditional knowledge of herbs and medicine to be recognized in the Western way of doing things. And what that is creating is a creeping or encroaching monopoly of those traditional herbs, traditional medicine. Once they have encoded them, in the end, a common man cannot go there and just use those herbs as they used to. The example is cannabis. Cannabis was there for centuries as a herb for different things. The Rasta used cannabis, but now cannabis is outlawed. Cannabis is outlawed to everyone else, but except the big pharma. This is how funny it is. And even with the mud huts that we have, there are some people who are doing mud huts in the West. I saw a video of some people using mud huts in Mexico or somewhere in America, and then claiming we knew about the benefits of mud huts, of thatched buildings. These were invented in Africa. They were there in Africa for centuries. But what happened? Capitalism came in with a Western way of building, which did not have enough insulation. But because the Africans had to abide by the norms, the new innovations and stuff like that, they let go of what was proven as a scientific innovation of their ancestors, which are the huts, the thatched huts, the round building, which is the way it's built to withstand storms, withstand the wind, which will go around the heart, just like in the stem of a tree. So the African has this knowledge. He has always had this knowledge. But because he has been educated out of himself or herself, he now looks to the one who claims to have more knowledge than them. Because those who have more knowledge than them, they have come in and became the lords during colonialism. And as generations die out and new generations are born, we are born with the colonizer, the incoming person, now being the one who seems to be having all the monopoly of knowledge. And that is what he is challenging. Just before I sign off, I actually read the book about him, that even when he was born, Dr. Nkrumah, they believed that he had some mystical powers. They believe he had mystical powers as a young man. But really no one saw it like this, saw what Dr. Nkrumah would be in the future, which is he came in and turn the tables on the colonizer, turn the tables on the existing establishment, and challenged all of those widely held beliefs, and with evidence in this case, challenged them with the education which he had got from the West. But even the education he got from the West, it did not completely erase the one he had acquired growing up in Africa. And I think let me stop there. It's more of, again, matter. It's not naturally inactive. Matter has its own characteristics. Even when you look at the spirit and soul, you can discount them in certain places because matter itself, spirit and soul should not be used as just the primary. Matter is primary. Thank you.
So, Brother Coco, follow-up question. So why do you think Nkrumah is discussing all this? In your opinion?
As I said,
in your thinking.
In my thinking, Nkrumah is saying you can innovate as Africans. You can use what you've been given in your land. You can use all of those things. They will work. You don't need to have soul or spirits in those material to make them work for you. Okay? Yes, spirits and matter, spirits and soul sometimes work in certain conditions, but recognize that they were always there. Matter is active on its own. It has those principles which you can harness for your own liberation. So this is about the foundation of materialism. Materialism is important because it gives everyone a fair grounding, a beginning which is fair and equal. There is that equality of everyone, which is trying to suggest here through matter, because he is arguing against those who said, you have the spirits, we are of the spirits, we know better. This is his argument. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. General, it's your turn. Before General comes in, that's if General wants to share his thinking. I noticed that, I think we're all aware of a gentleman called Zechariah Sitchin. It's an author. And according to Sitchin, a highly advanced extraterrestrial civilization existed about 445,000 years ago, long before any known human culture. That is Sitchin's argument. And he argued that these beings created humanity through genetic engineering and were the true source of ancient civilization like Sumer. And in that book, he mentions the Anunnaki, he mentions Nibiru, the home planet, he mentions genetic creation, source of civilization, and so on. So I mentioned this as part of the discussion around our environment and what people knew or didn't know alongside us. So that's why I mentioned this. General Anunnaki, please share your thinking. Thanks. Yeah, you'll have to unmute yourself. Yeah, thank you.
Greetings, everyone at large this afternoon. A very complex topic, but an interesting one. So here's what I got from, I jotted down a few points from this. So basically, the great Kwame Nkrumah here basically is stating that if matter is considered philosophically inert, which means unable to initiate its own motion, then simply saying that a soul or a spirit inside matter causes movement does not solve the problem. Whether the spirit is inside the object or outside it, one is still forced to assume that every moving object contains some hidden non-material agent. So this becomes like a ghost in the machine explanation, an unseen force invoked whenever motion cannot be explained. So therefore, matter remains philosophically inert. Adding a soul or a spirit does not change the fundamental nature of matter itself. I'll repeat that last phrase. It says, therefore, matter remains philosophically inert. Adding a soul or a spirit does not change the fundamental nature of matter itself. So the analysis basically, I can say, based on my philosophical analysis, is that the passage is criticizing like three things here: vitalism, animism, and occult explanation. So vitalism basically is the belief that living things possess a special life force beyond physical and chemical processes. Animism is the belief that objects, animals, plants, and natural phenomena contain spirits. And then occult explanations, it explains the natural phenomena by appealing to hidden spiritual, supernatural forces. So I think the reasoning of the elder Kwame Nkrumah is that if matter cannot move itself, then saying a spirit moves it merely shifts the question from matter to spirit. It does not explain the motion itself. So in relation to consciencism, this does appear consistent with the materialist tendencies of the philosophy of Kwame Nkrumah, where we know that he argues that matter is primary, mind and consciousness emerge from material reality. Society and history should be analyzed through that material conditions rather than supernatural explanations. And African philosophy should engage scientific and rational inquiry while addressing African realities. So I love that a lot because it really speaks to the core idea of materialism in just one sentence, because it argues that explaining motion by appealing to hidden spirits does not make matter active. It merely replaces one explained cause and another, leaving the matter philosophically in it. So basically what I'm saying from these few notes I got is that my proposition is that a spirit explanation does not actually mean motion, explain motion. Just as scientific explanations are stronger than supernatural explanation. So yeah, I think basically the honorable intelligent Kwame did notice the issue with our ethnicities in Africa, whereby we tend to, if we don't have critical or logical explanations for our environments or situations, we tend to say that no, it's the gods or it's the spirits, or when someone is sick and we don't know the disease and we can't trace the symptoms, we'll say, oh, it's the evil spirits that attacked him or her. That's why he or she is sick. So whereas we were supposed to have scientific explanations whereby we can actually probe, test, and actually see the physical evidence of the things that we are witnessing. So I think that's what the great Kwame was stressing in this sentence, that we as Africans must try to be scientific more than we are supernatural. Thank you.
So as a follow-up question then, so you've identified that attributing motion to spirit or to soul does not address the question as to the source of that motion. or that self-motion. And that is in line with what we've been reading so far, that physics does not explain the universe that way. Physics does not say that the Earth is rotating or revolving around the sun because it has some spiritual or soulish dimension to it. So in that sense, yes, you are right. But then, like as you said, the question then is pushed further to the spiritual dimension. And you are saying that in itself cannot be right. So what is the solution then? Because in Africa, we read in chapter 3, we read that in Africa, we as humans are seen as spirit beings. Yeah. So we read it earlier. Let me read exactly what we said. We said, this arises from the fact that man is regarded in Africa as primarily a spiritual being, a being endowed originally with a certain inward dignity, integrity, and value. So this is the African perspective, that we are spiritual beings. And if that is the case, then what do you think is problematic with then going ahead to say that the reason I have self-motion is because I have a spirit or a soul? Because from a materialist perspective, that can be right. And yet, that's exactly how Africans see the person or the human or the, yeah. What are your thoughts on that, General?
Yes, give the answer. Thank you for that wonderful question. What I can say is that, as I just said in my previous, I tried to allude my previous explanation, that the great Kwame Nkrumah, I think from my perspective, is that he did realize the thing of the tendency of us as Africans to equate things to supernatural or spiritual things. For one, just an example before I close. This issue of the Anunnaki we are having now on the global arena. In the African traditions, before the information of the Anunnaki is revoked, people were saying that the African gods, our ancestors, they're in the spiritual realm. They are not in the physical realm. You understand? They are not in the heaven or the ancestral plane. You understand? Is actually spiritual. No physical body can enter there, etc. That's what has been said in the past 2,000 years. But now, as the information is coming out now, we are finding out now that the actual ancestors we're talking about are actually alive and physically. You understand? And that's what I'm trying to say, is that that's what I'm thinking that Kwame was trying to say here in the passage, is that some of the things might actually not be spiritual in the sense as we are explaining it as Africans, but actually some of the things may actually can be explained scientifically, physically. We just need the capabilities to probe into it. Thank you.
Yeah. So as a follow-up, but it's not for you to answer, but just an observation of mine. So tables are physical physical things. Tables are physical things. A fridge is a physical thing. A house is a physical thing. An aeroplane is a physical thing. These are all physical things, but the chemical composition of a table as opposed to a fridge, as opposed to an aeroplane, etc., or as opposed to a rock, are different. And I think what I'm getting from what you are saying, Brother General, is that I think when we say that our ancestors or the Anunnaki were physical. I think there is a danger to think that there must therefore be human bodies with flesh and blood. And perhaps it is possible to have physical beings made of different chemical
Matter.
components that are not flesh and blood. In other words, it's possible. I'm not saying that I know this for sure. I'm just saying that scientifically it's possible to have beings that are made of different chemical components. So, for example, when the prophet Daniel saw this man at the on the beach of the great river, the one he spoke to about the great dream, where he saw this man with a head of gold, then and so on, feet of brass. So that the man that spoke to Daniel I'm not saying may not have been of flesh and blood like us, but that person is still a physical being. So I think sometimes we limit ourselves by thinking that to be a physical being means to be made up of flesh and blood, and that perhaps in our universe it's possible for beings to exist that are not made of carbon the way we are, hydrogen, oxygen. That is what I am thinking. I know he's crazy, but it's just a thought. So Tapua, we'll come to you in a moment. But the Pigeon has joined with his, I think, maybe a laptop, so maybe he's able to share. Let him share his thinking, and I'll come back to you. Thank you.
That's okay.
I don't know whether he'll be able to share, but I'm just asking. Brother Pigeon, are you not able to? I can hear myself, Brother Pigeon.
Brother Kwame, can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Much better.
Oh, I've just come from a technician to work on this phone so that I don't miss the session.
Thank you.
Yeah. I said even if it will be 10 minutes, let me come in now. I'm trying to look at a very important element here. One, I'm seeing the critique of dualism, the soul and spirit, which then the element of trying to separate the matter, the physical world, from the spirit, which is the mind, the reasoning on the God thing. So you see, if you look at it, for example, as what you're trying to say, Brother Kwame, is it possible that something physical might exist or something might exist without having the because if you look at the colonial ideology constructed on a binary thing, the West, of course, sometimes associated with spirit. So reason and agency, all this sort of thing. While we, the African, relegated to the realm of matter, seen as inert, stagnant, or lacking intrinsic drive for us to move forward. So they see like Africa is there. It can't move anywhere. So let's come and see how we can move it. But again, and that element of trying to see us as not able to move is what they used as an avenue to come and civilize us through either the spiritual thing. So they save us, they give us the salvation, we get to the light. We cannot move anywhere until that spirit they have, that holiness or the rest of the things, they come give it into us so that we can be saved and be developed and move forward. And that was very wrong. So I think Nkrumah is trying to say that by defining matter being stupid, then the colonial structure could define Africa's existence as requiring a master. That matter, like Africa, is that stagnant, inert, stupid. It can't move. It can't do anything else. So it requires that extra forces to come in and move it. And that is where I'm trying to see the element of even them coming to urgently trying to colonize us and say that they are trying to civilize us. But again, there's the other side of the argument, even as we are moving to philosophical, there's that side of argument we've been having, that there's an element of self-motion. And I think this is then the element of dialectical material, the dialectics, that even in one component, there exists different forces moving internally, the dialectics, or the dialecticism of matter or materialism, by this saying, that matter is able of that internal moving. So it doesn't require anything out. And that's why sometimes they say even within us as Africans, there's a part of which want to rely on idealism, there's a part that want to rely on materialism. So there's a commotion and a fight internally, and that fight is a movement. Whether you can see it or not see it, there's a movement of something internally. So this is also something that we are trying to look at. And you see, when Nkrumah is trying to bring this, Nkrumah is actually trying to refute the ghost in the machine. He's actually reclaiming African history. He's asserting that African society have always been self-moving, evolving, and doing all this progress. Another colonial narrative that there's nothing that was happening until they came in and tried to civilize and move us forward is not true. And that still also holds to us that we have not to wait for them. There's a movement going on. And now this element of Nkrumah talking of the stupidity in the last, stupidity is not actually covered here. But there's an element where Nkrumah, if you look at the next paragraph, which I was actually reading as well, as I was sharing, which we'll get to, Nkrumah then defined that as stupid. But this stupidity of matter has also come across sometimes back when we talk about pushiness and the stupidity of matter and the rest of the things. So I think the key thing here is this element of soul and spirit thing. And when Nkrumah says on non-material principle. But I remember, Brother Kwame, when we were talking about categorical conversion, and I've always said it, matter and spirit is one, but why do we, or is it the West that want to separate matter and spirit? So that then what is the intention of that? To achieve that there's an external force called a spirit or some movement outside that must get into the so-called physical matter so that it can move. And I think there's a danger if you separate matter and spirit, rather than if you see matter or if you see spirit as part of matter. And I think that's then the biggest thing we are trying to discuss here. If spirit is part of matter, then it's just movement of matter from different forms. But if you see spirit as different from matter, then you are trying to bring that dualism in between. So that's what I'm trying to think about the coin. But yes, I'm happy that I've
that dualism. That Pigeon, there's an echo, so maybe you mute. I don't know whether you mute me or at your end, so it doesn't come as an echo. So I am agreeing with you that yes, that dualism is perhaps why we are here today. That the spirit and the matter have been, if you like, separated, and we have hardcore individuals in both camps. So we have hardcore idealists who say everything is a spirit, and then we have hardcore materialists who say everything is matter, and there's no middle ground between them. And then we are saying as Africans that we don't accept either hardcore materialism or hardcore idealism. But for us, matter is primary. Therefore, if there's anything called mind or spirit and so on, they are a dimension of matter. Let me pause there because, and then the other thing is that there's a difference between reality and narrative. I agree, narrative sometimes can be reality. The idea that Europeans came to through colonizing us to enlighten and educate us and bring us into modernity is a narrative. It's not true. A narrative is not always true. So there's a difference between that narrative. And for those of you who were on Saturday's session, you remember Brother Coco was drawing our attention to the three aspects of imperialism, to do with resources, etc., etc. So that was the reality. To justify it, they brought in the narrative that we are stupid, we are animals, we are these. Those are just narratives. they didn't reflect what they really believed about us. So I just thought I'll bring that in. Sister Tapua wanted to say something. I think she should before we close, and then brother Pigeon will then share the announcements. Sister Tapua.
Thank you very much.
Mr.
Just wanted
Tapua,
to. Yes.
before you proceed,
Yes.
I've got a small question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to your chickens when it is now time to slaughter one of them?
I just thank it for life, for giving me life, and appreciate it. Because when you're picking those eggs, you're taking its children. And a lot of them are trying to nest over them, and you snatching them from them. So it's almost like I respect you.
Yes. So, Sister Tapua, you could respond to Brother Welcome and say that, why don't you read what they said in the Animal Farm?
No.
They were
Anyway,
not happy at all in Animal Farm.
yes. I think
Anyway.
I put my hand up because I wanted to spread a word of caution in relation to science and scientists and proof. My husband is a strong scientist who will not budge, but science only believes in what it knows today. It can change its mind tomorrow. Scientists, particularly if you've lived in Europe, are confounded by some of the diseases that Africans handle very well in terms of mitigating against the effect of certain health conditions. So you will find, for example, that we're better at handling mental health because of the structures that we have in our societies. Whereas in the West, they're bad at handling mental health because they've dismantled families and the structures that hold the African together. So what I'm saying is, whilst the West postulates the cause of disease by their treatment of symptoms, they treat symptoms. If the symptoms disappear, then they say this is the medication for that. And yet, there is need to go even beyond that. And the West is scared of going even beyond that, which is where Africans go, because Africans will then acknowledge that a human being is more than body and soul. There is something else. So I wouldn't want to totally discredit, because they're coming round eventually. They are coming round because they struggle to explain, for example, why someone is able to bend a spoon just by looking at it, and why there is now the new explanation of what we call it. You know, when you inherit your the DNA, the how you pass down experiences. As Black Africans, we have inherited some of the effects of having been abused the way we were, and it's showing in the way we react even to the younger children that we've give birth to. We have said that it's the ancestors come back, and that's our way of saying it. But science and psychology presents it in a different way, and they want to accept their presentation and their explanation, not ours. And yet we're talking about the same thing. So that's my warning. Thank you.
Yeah, your warning is accepted, because in my language we say that in English they say the man is very tall. In my language
Excuse me,
we don't talk like that in my language. Sorry, is someone saying anything?
yeah, I just want to acknowledge the Queen Sister Tapua. I know that the King Brother Coco did it. I want to also, as a sister to the sister, to acknowledge the contributions that she has made today. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so we say the man, in English they say the man is very tall. In some African languages we don't talk like that. We don't say the man is very tall. We say the man tall very, if you translate it literally. You see, so So you might be presenting something, as you, Sister Tapua said, they might be presenting something as your own, but then that is not how we see it at all. We may be seeing the same thing, but for us, it's completely, we see differently, but it's the same thing. Yeah. So no, thank you very much for that. Brother Pigeon, I think everyone has shared their thinking. Please share the announcements, and then we bring the meeting to a close. Thank you.
Thank you very much, comrades, for joining us. Apologies for challenges I encountered, so that didn't enable me to send you notification in advance for our meeting. It's probably the first time we are attending meeting without a notification or a reminder, but I do apologize for that. It was unavoidable, but I've managed to avoid it to actually be able to attend. One is that we haven't uploaded the recording, of course, of our last session on Thursday because we are still under review of some few issues that came up, but I've equally not uploaded the Saturday and Monday session. I'll do that before the end of this week. And next week, of course, we continue the way we've stopped. This Saturday, we are looking at labor, skills, and productive capacity under development agenda. And this month, we are actually focusing on production and self-reliance. So we have a theme for every month. So our topics go almost within the theme. So if you need to look at labor in terms of any angle you want to look at it, but from a continental perspective, if you look at the skills the continent has from a continental perspective, the productivity capacity from a continental perspective, because our Saturday unification or Saturday sessions look at a continental perspective. So if you like to do something around that area, please get in touch. We will also try to see if we can have a presentation in advance. On Monday, we continue of course, Dr. Iti as usual. We are now in chapter 9. So we will continue that. Another key announcement is that we have successfully managed to do a Zoom subscription. That's why we are here, because the subscription was done automatically on 8th from Brother Kwame's side. So the donations that got in plus anything that was there, so it was automatically done on 8th. We'll share the receipt plus the statement, official statement on that update. We'll share that. We are still having a deficit of around 117 pounds, probably, to meet our laptop target as well. But our Zoom is sorted, and all that invoice and actually update on how this was done, we'll share that. And we'd like to thank our members who have done this. I think we have always been collective enough to come together and facilitate what we do. So there's no one who sponsors what we do. It's us who come together and build our platform and say, okay, this is our platform. So let's build it and let's continue having the conversation. We've done this for almost 3 to 4 years now, and we continuously appreciate members who give not only their time to attend, but also their resources to ensure that this platform is available. And as usual, in this new year, remember the platform is available for all. If you're a member of our study class, you have maybe a meeting within the time that you're not meeting for your organization. It's a free meeting. You want to try to push some agenda that is aligned with our unification, liberation, and development from your platform. Get in touch with us, put in the request. We'll always try to ensure that you get the platform, because this is a platform for all of us to push this, as long as it doesn't conflict with our usual classes. So please get that as an opportunity to give you as a member, based on what you donate, your time of coming here, and everything else you do. We also ensure that the platform is available for you, as long as it's a free activity and as long as it's in line with what we do, in line with liberation, unification, development. So that's what I'd like to share, and really appreciate you. You've been keeping this going, not only attending, but putting your resources. So thank you very much, and thank you for everything you've been doing. Let's keep doing this. Let's keep getting to the 5th year now, probably, of doing this on Zoom. So that's what I want to say. Back to you, Brother Kwame.
Yeah, no, thank you. Brothers and sisters, I think Brother Pigeon has said it all. And you have been amazing. I can't thank you enough for your contribution to the evolution of our continent. Long after we are gone, people will be talking about what we have achieved here. You have no idea. So thank you very much. Have a nice evening, afternoon, a nice night, wherever you are. And we hope to see you on Saturday if you can join us. Thank you.